Welcome back to the Surround Sound Podcast. I am your host, R. Hunter Jr., the truth and not a rumor. Big shouts out to everybody rocking on socials right now. That's Facebook, that's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's YouTube. I appreciate you all checking in. The sign of the times for today is crabs in a bucket. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Make sure you get your car together. 901 Restoration King, 901 Restoration Kings is that deal. 901 Restoration Kings at gmail.com. Or you can holler at Corey and Dre at 901-949-9135. Get your car together. I know right now it's nice outside. It's like 60 today. But as soon as that calendar hit 2022, wintry storm warning, wintry mix advisory, all of those things, man. It was crazy last year. Like, I promise it happened just like this. It hit February. It snowed for a week. 2 weeks after, it was like 56 degrees. I promise. Now, we got to go through all of January to get to it. This week's sign of the time is crabs in a bucket. And for the last 2 weeks, I've been struggling. I ain't gonna lie to you. I felt real, I wouldn't call it depressed, but I've been in a certain state because I have been thinking about the city of Memphis, Tennessee, and what the passing of Young Dolph means to not only my city, my home, my hometown, but also what it means to my state and what it means to Southern hip hop music and what it means to black people, period. So I actually today came up with the title Crabs in a Bucket. For one moment in time, the entire world looked at Memphis, Tennessee, man. At least since I've been alive. Now, I'm sure back when Elvis was jailhouse rocking, and of course when MLK was assassinated, people looked at Memphis and looked at Tennessee. And one thing that's interesting about this land that is bordered by Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. The one thing about that land that is bordered by those states is I would beg to say there is no other land on God's green earth that more music and musical genius has happened. You tell me, cause I'm ready to rock and roll. I can start going right now. Okay, let's start on the east side of the state. We can go with Usher. Then we can go go to the west side, and we can go with Tina Turner. We can go with rappers. Wherever you want to go. I ain't even said nothing about country music yet. Stax Records. Sun Records. For this one time, the world seemed like it almost stood still and was looking directly at Tennessee, directly at Memphis, at least in the entertainment world. And it was because of the shooting of rapper Young Dolph. And I'm not going to even get into a lot of the stuff that I've seen. I was on YouTube, and it's really real, where people will say anything to get attention. Like, it was a dude on there, I'm not going to even repeat it. It was just so ridiculous. I'm like, do you really feel like that? You can't really feel like that. It's been a lot of like turmoil. I won't say necessarily backlash, but it's been a lot of things happening directly after this. They found the car at a guy's home not too far away from the bakery, the cookie store, where this white Benz that shot Adolph Thornton. Well, somebody said, okay, we're going to shoot that guy that stays at that house. Well, that's not going to bring them back. But as we go forward, a comedian started talking trash about Dolph, and he got shot and killed. Well, that's not going to bring him back. And then people were shot during the ceremony where they had the candlelight vigil for Dolph. It's been a really, 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 what's the perfect word? Interesting, fascinating last 2 weeks. And then today, young Dolph was laid to rest at First Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. And the first thing, and what really got me, the first thing that people said, woo child, black on black crime. We got to stop it, man. And I'm not saying that black on black crime or any crime should not be stopped. But when you start putting a moniker on specifically, or a spotlight specifically on black people when it relates to crime and the crime that are committed against black people by those same black people, you're doing a disservice. Because USA Today in 2018, it was reported that it's around 80 and 90% as far as white on white crime and black on black crime. 80 to 90% of black people commit crimes against black people, and 80 to 90% of white people commit crimes against white people. It makes sense. White people know more white people. Black people know more black people. You stay around the same people. So it makes sense that the same race will commit crimes against the same race. But what is interesting to me is something that I saw two Fridays ago, when the No Limit Tour and Master P descended upon Nashville and Municipal Auditorium. Master P said, and okay, before I even say that, you had the No Limit reunion tour. You had Mia X, which I think is the greatest female rapper of all times. I've said before, I say it again. You had Mystical. You had Silk the Shocker. You had Mac. You had Fiend. And all these artists from my youth and my high school, and yours as well. And at the end, Master P says, or gives a shout out to his brother, C Murder, that is locked up, and it's been talked about at length how these two are not seeing eye to eye. Two brothers don't see eye to eye. However, one brother still pays his respect and recognition to his brother because he knows that he didn't do it alone. See, what's interesting about this, when it comes to crabs in the bucket, is that when said crabs get out of the bucket, they don't pull each other back down. Because, see, The bucket was never the crab's habitat in the first place. For everybody here at the Surround Sound podcast, for Sir Troy of Donaldson, for Matasha in the Borough, I'm your host, R. Hunter Jr., the truth and not a rumor. This is Surround Sound podcast sponsored by 91 Restoration Kings. Be good to yourself and each other.